Okay, so if you get a table of values, let's write the domain for this. And we want to look and see, is this discrete or continuous? And that's where you want to look at specifically, you want to look at your x values. And if we're looking at the number of books purchased, we're going to be counting those, which means we're going to be leaving out x values. So this would be a discrete domain. So this is discrete, which means we are going to be making a list in brackets. So now I just want to list out all my x values that I have in my table, which is 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we're going to do the same thing for the y values. We're just going to, for our range, we're going to list out all our y values. So 30, 60, 90, and 120. And that's it. Okay, for an equation, the easiest way to get your domain and range is to use your calculator. So we're going to turn this on and we're going to go to y equals. And we're going to type in our function. And I'm going to graph it. And if I look at my graph line, just remember that your graph in your calculator, it goes forever in both directions. It doesn't stop. So I want to see, did they give me any information that tells me that my domain is going to be continuous or discrete? And they did not. Since they didn't tell me that I'm leaving out any x values, this domain is continuous, and so I want to use inequalities. Okay? They don't tell you you're skipping any x values or leaving any x values, or they don't tell you what your x values are and you can't decide, then you are going to go with continuous. You're including every x value. So if I look at my calculator and ask myself, how far left do I go? Because that's one of the questions you ask for domain. There is an imaginary arrow on my calculator at this end, so it goes forever to the left. So now I'm going to ask myself how far right, and I'm going to go backwards, turn around and go back this way on the x-axis. And again, there's an arrow here at this end, so it never stops going right. So since it goes all the way left and all the way right, it's using all the x values on that number line. My domain is all real numbers. And you could also use that double R for your domain. And now we're going to talk about range. So the two questions you want to ask yourself for range is how far down. So how far down the y-axis does it go before I stop? And again, running into an arrow, and this is not only going right, but it's also going down, so it never stops going down. So now I'm going to ask myself how far up the y-axis does it go? And again, I run into an arrow, and it's not only going left, but up. So how far up? It never stops going up. So the range is also all real numbers. And you could also use the double R for all real numbers.